Hello everyone, my name is Alex. I'm a 2000 rated over-the-board chess player, and in this series we're going from 1000 to 2000 elo in chess.com rapid games, where I'll be explaining my thought process as best as I possibly can for your education and entertainment. And today we have a Sicilian Defense, and I'm playing my favourite system, being the A3 Sicilian. There'll be a playlist with all my games in the A3 Sicilian linked below, as well as the previous episodes of the speedrun. Now this is intended to be a delayed wing gambit. So after knight c6, b4, take, we sacrifice a pawn on the queen side, and we get a very big centre with c3 and d4. But my opponent doesn't allow this. And one of the things I like about this system is that if your opponent doesn't allow the gambit lines, you take him out of all known theory, and you can kind of play it like a Vienna. One of the big differences, though, between this and the Vienna, apart from obviously no pawn being on e5, is that you have the a2 square to retreat the bishop to, and I think that's exactly what we're supposed to do in this position, if I remember correctly. Oh no, maybe not yet, because the knight hasn't come to c6 yet, so if d5, I think we give a check on b5 first. Maybe? Let me think a second. d3, d5, we don't want to take. Oh, wait. Do we? No. Bishop b5 check. Bishop d7. e5? Take. Knight d7. Actually, no, knight e5 looks more natural. Oh no, the pawn's on d3, so yeah, knight d7. I think that's good for us, because we have queen g4 at the end of the line. This is a very complicated opening, but our bishop probably will go back to a2, but I think that we have to, well, we don't have to, but we can delay it for now, because there's nothing blocking this check. So our bishop can get out of being attacked with a tempo. Bishop e7, I think f4 is the move. I think f4, just expanding, and then we're going to play knight to f3, and it's similar to a Grand Prix attack, essentially. This opening doesn't always lead to these Grand Prix type positions. This is just due to the way my opponent's played it. It's led to that. Okay, knight c6, now we go bishop a2. Because we don't want d5 to come with tempo on our bishop. The difference previously was if d5 was played, we can move our bishop with tempo. If we can't move it with tempo, after like d5, well no, here actually, if we were to play knight to f3, d5, we can't move our bishop with tempo. If we go bishop to b5, black probably takes on e4, and we don't really want to allow a queen trade, essentially. You sometimes can, but typically you want to avoid it. Okay, bishop d7. Let's go knight f3. And this is just an interesting position, right? Black has a pretty good grip over the d4 square, which is typical of a Sicilian defense when the c5 pawn doesn't get traded off by a quick d4 from white. And we have good space on the king side to launch an attack. We're going to castle. Black's probably going to expand queenside with b5. Queen c7 is an odd move. That is an odd move. Can we go f5? I'm trying to think of something like this to exploit f7, but I think black just castles there. But f5 is a very common idea. Very common idea. Knight e2 is also typical, to try and go knight g3 to support the f5 push. King h1 is also pretty normal, but for now, we're not really concerned about checks on this diagonal. So I think knight e2. Queen e1 is also a move. No, I think I'll start with queen e1. Although, queen e1, knight d4 is annoying, because if take, the c2 pawn is under attack. So let's start with knight e2. We have to be a little bit careful about c4 in some of these lines. So something like b5 here, queen e1, c4, we can't take because we lose the e4 pawn. So if b5, I think we have to go knight to g3, so that c4 we can take, and our knight is defending the e4 square. Also, the knight on g3 not only defends e4, but supports f5, and allows us to play c3, which is a move that we want to play for several reasons. Firstly, we want to play c3 to stop knight to d4, because the knight is very good on d4, and prepare d4 ourselves in the future, potentially. And that's about it. Or, no, sorry, there is a secondary idea as well. If we get c3 in the future, we can drop the bishop back to b1 and play d4, e5 to open up our bishop on this diagonal and kick the knight off of f6 where it's defending h7. That's also another very common idea. A lot of different plans transpose. Well, no, sorry. Transpose isn't the right word, but a lot of different plans can be played in these positions in various different positions. Different plans can be applied, which is one of the reasons I like this opening, because there's lots of different things you can do, and it's just also a very atypical way to approach the Sicilian defense. No, knight d4 is not good. Knight d4 is not good because we have c3. You can trade if you want, sure. If we take with a queen, bishop c6, we just have f5, don't we? f5 is so well defended now. We also have potential threats of e5. Yeah, f5 looks really strong. I don't see what black does about this. Let's play it. And this is what I'm saying. This is a really good opening. We've got f5, right, on the board. We have a battery on the f-file. Our bishop is looking down on this diagonal, which black has failed to block up successfully. Our other bishop is scoping out this long diagonal to cause some problems. And black just sacrificed a pawn. So I think we'll happily take it. I don't think we need to think too hard about it, really. It's just a free pawn. Obviously, if take, king to h8, the rook is aligned with the queen, so we should probably move the queen to e2. But at the end of the day, we are up a full pawn. Queen e2 looks like the best option, because there's no other good squares for it. And we maintain support of e4, so if c4... we also help support the c4 square. If d5, we could push e5, we could also take. And we're just up a clean pawn. Up a clean pawn with a big center. Black has an awkward pawn on the d6 square. And our knight also has the f5 square whenever it wants, really, where it can cause a bit of chaos. So, guys, what can I say? This opening is really, really good, and hopefully everything I've played has made a lot of sense to you guys. If you have any questions whatsoever, leave a question in the comments. I reply to every comment, or I try my best. Sometimes I'm a bit late with replies if I'm busy, but I try my best. As regular viewers of the channel will know. And if you're enjoying the video so far, please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. Helps to keep me motivated with the daily uploads. But yeah, I mean, bishop to f4 looks like a move that we potentially want to play, just to apply pressure to d6 and the queen. Bishop to g5 also looks decent, because trades should favor us, but we don't want to be too gung-ho with it. Like, there's no need, for example, to just trade our bishop for the knight and give my opponent a decent bishop pair. It's not the best bishop pair you've ever seen, but it's a bishop pair nonetheless. I think something like, I don't know, bishop to g5 and like rook f2, rook a to f1, that kind of thing looks very good. Just building up pressure on the only open file. My opponent's also taking a while to think here. Probably realizing that he's messed up and that he doesn't really have counterplay. Okay. It's a move. I think we probably just drop our bishop back to a2. He's aligning the rook with the queen, which is a smart idea. Yeah, let's drop our bishop all the way back home. Get it out of there. And this bishop essentially maintains good pressure on the diagonal, controlling c4 and d5, which are important squares. My opponent pushes d5. I'm half tempted to play the move e5, although... Oh no, then we have takes. Then we have takes and the queen is under attack. So pawn e5, the knight probably has to go to d7. And then d4 looks pretty good, just securing the pawn. Maybe take on f8 first. Yeah. Yeah. What else can we do? He's not actually threatening to win the pawn. I just don't like the idea of my pawn getting isolated for no reason. We could throw in bishop f4, though, attacking the queen. Bishop d6, e5. That's a favourable version, I think. I think that's a favourable version of the immediate e5. If here and something like queen 2 d7, then again e5 looks pretty good. Bishop d6 can be played there. But then we just go d4. So let's do it. Bishop f4. Attacking the queen. You can see our bishops are now very much coming alive. And like I mentioned earlier, if I go e5, right, and play something like d4, which is very, very possible, then our bishop looks like it sucks because the d5 pawn blocks it in, but we can always drop it back to b1. I mentioned this way earlier on in the game. That's not a problem. We could, of course, trade. We could trade and go for something like knight to f5, but I think after a simple queen d7, we're wasting our time with that. e5 immediately looks better. Although, oh wait, no, that actually loses a pawn. That actually loses a pawn. Okay, well, that was a bit of an oversight, admittedly. I don't know why I've just done that. That was a bit silly. Take. Oh, okay. Let me think a bit harder about this. I shouldn't have done that. Stupid move. Take. Rook a to e1. Preparing e5, of course. Take. I think I'm good. Knight takes, rook takes. I don't know. Actually. That doesn't look good. Because the queen defends the rook, which is the crucial factor. This was a bit silly. I maybe should have played the immediate e5 here. I probably should have played the immediate e5. I mean, we'll find out in the computer analysis, but fortunately I have plenty of time on my clock to try to figure this out. Take, knight in. I suppose the idea of knight in is to try and get the queen to stop looking at e5, so then I can play e5 myself, and then I should be good. So the queen probably has to go to c7, or actually it can just go straight to e5. Yeah, it can just go to e5 and block everything up, which I don't really love. Can I go knight? No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That's a bit silly. I need to think. I'm playing on as if I'm like on autopilot, but I need to be thinking. I know it's a common thing where people just go on autopilot, and I'm just as guilty for it. Okay, are there ways in which I can give this pawn up and it's actually okay? I don't think so, but it's worth realizing that if the pawn is given up, it's not necessarily bad, not by default, although it probably is. Here, I just don't see a follow-up. I have to take it. And after queen takes, where's my counterplay? I don't have any. Take, knight f5, queen e5. That doesn't work. Take, rook a to e1, takes. Take. Knight takes, rook f8, queen f8 is the crucial move, so that this rook doesn't get distracted. Rook Rook A1, take, take. Sorry. Take, take. Rook A to E1. Take, 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 take. And I can't take on E4. I could play Queen G4 though. And if Knight G3... That doesn't quite work, does it? I think I should go for that line though. It creates the most complicated position, I think. Let's do it. Not confident in this. I mean, black's got 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers on the E4 pawn. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders, but the problem is one of them is my queen, and my queen is in front of the rook. If these were switched around, it would be cool, but they're not. I don't think throwing knight to F5 in helps at all. I don't think taking with the knight helps either. So let's take with the pawn. Maybe there's lines where my queen comes out to H5 and my bishop drops back to B1. And we cause some issues, maybe on E8 and on H7, although the bishop does cover the E8 square. Maybe if my opponent takes with the bishop, then he has some problems. Potentially. Seems like a bit of a pipe dream, though. Maybe if bishop takes, I have rook f6. Although I am admittedly not confident in that. Trying to remove the defender. And if something like queen takes, knight takes, queen e5, bishop b1, I don't think that black can attack my knight enough. And 2 pieces versus a rook should be winning. Because my bishop's good on the long diagonal, and I'm just preparing queen c2. That should be fine. Although, still tricky, because my rook could hang. So not entirely obvious, but we move. My opponent's done well to try and get himself back in this, but I went for this particular line because I thought it poses the most problems to black. Yes, he can take here, and I can't really take back because of rook takes, and like I said, the queen defends the rook. So if here, rook takes loses to this. So here, rook takes, queen takes. If I take, then rook takes. And I'm probably in bad shape there. It's going to be a draw, if nothing else. Maybe I can try and claim these pawns are weak in a bishop endgame, but a bishop endgame should be drawn, although my king could get very active very quickly, and my bishop might block his king from getting into the game. So that is true. If all of these got traded off in this position, white is probably the one with better winning chances, especially if my king can get closer sooner. Let's say my king's already on f2, black has to go g6. I do have to guard g2, so g3, here, 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 here. I'm more active than my opponent, but I don't think it's enough. We'll see. We'll see. There's no reason I have to trade everything, though. It's just a thought. Just a thought. If knight takes... Oh, maybe I have knight to f5. Maybe? Although after the queen moves, I don't know, queen g6. You know, here queen g6, then what am I doing? His queen's just good, and this is scary. Okay, now's the time to buckle in. Now's the time to buckle in. I could... No, I think I should take here, right? Is bishop to f7 a move? I don't think so. He may even be able to take it and play knight to g3. Oh no, then I mate him. Bishop f7 is just an interesting idea trying to displace the rook. Rook e7, I have knight to f5, and if queen to g6, I take the rook with... Oh no, he doesn't have that because my bishop controls that square. Maybe bishop f7 is the move. Bishop f7... Oh, knight g3 is annoying, though. Yeah, no, knight g3 is annoying. Let's take on f8. I can't find a better way to do this. Queen takes. Maybe bishop b1. Knight g3, though, is a problem. And the rook is always guarded very nicely, which is annoying. If I take and rook takes, queen f2... That might be the best line. If my opponent trades everything... Oh, then he wins the g2 pawn. That's no good. Queen f3? Knight takes. Check, take, take. Maybe. Maybe. Queen f1? Trying to go for the same sort of thing. I could go rook f1, actually. That might be better. Although after a move like queen e7, I'm not really sure how I'm planning to follow that up. Or maybe queen d6. Queen h5. Rook f1. I think rook f1 is a good idea. If you take here, then I take here with check and you lose. So let's go rook f1. I don't think I'm missing anything. If you take, I mean, you just lose, obviously. Throwing away a pawn-up position for not really any purpose was a bit silly. A bit silly, to say the least. Struggling to come up with ideas here. I mean, like I said, endgames, as long as I don't hang any material, probably favour me. But the issue currently is that my knight and bishop just aren't quite as good as his knight and bishop. His are just better. Simply because his bishop's looking at more. My bishop's a good piece, but his is a better piece. And his knight is obviously a better piece than my knight. And his rook is probably a better piece than my rook because he has more threats. So, you know, not fantastic. Maybe if I can not recoordinate, like reposition my pieces in a favorable manner, I may be able to do something good. I know that was very eloquently put. My opponent's taking some time to think. Yeah, I definitely shouldn't have gone bishop to f4. I mean, we'll see in the post-game analysis, but I'm pretty sure e5 was better. Because it gives me time to play d4, which is the move I need to play. I just didn't get the chance to play d4 with the way I handled the situation, which obviously is just me being probably bad with my time usage. Because I spent 1 minute playing bishop f4, and then once I realised I'd made a mistake, I spent 5 minutes on bishop takes d6. I could have just spent the 5 minutes on this move and played a better move than bishop to f4. Okay, queen e7 chosen by my opponent. I thought that this or this was a problem. Can I not go rook f7 and cause you some issues? You can't take on g3 because I'll take with my queen. So, rook f7. Queen g5? Take. Maybe queen c1 is what he wants to do. I don't think that works, though. I think he's dug himself a hole here. Because there's back rank opportunities. There's back rank opportunities here. Maybe queen d8 is better. But it still looks dubious. I mean, g7 is weak. I can add more pressure pretty easily. Yeah, I think queen d6 was better. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe... Ooh. Wait. Can't I do this? Oh no, the queen maintains defense of f8. So there's no back ranks. No back ranks. I could take here. And you can't take because of this. However, if I take... Oh, wait! Knight g3, queen takes e8, bishop takes, and rook g8 mate. Rook g8 is mate. There's no checks on my king. I think this works. c4 might be his best move. Cutting my bishop off. But he may only see it in the one-dimensional sense of, okay, I can't take because of knight f5. Yeah, I understand that. But there's a second dimension, which is rook g8, if I can force this rook either to move or to die. Because I'm threatening knight e4, bishop e4, queen e4, but then there's queen d1, king f1. You still can't take because of mate. Queen d2, king g3. That is so complicated. I think black runs out of checks there, though. I think he runs out of checks. I really hope this works, because this is a very pretty idea. Very pretty idea. I mean, I don't know whether I could have switched the move order, or even started with this. Because I suppose queen g4, there is still no queen d1, because I control that square, which is what I was initially concerned about. Maybe black could just go queen g6 there. And after take, just be cool with having doubled pawns. I don't think I can do much more. And maybe I have to go take, rook take, king f2 to stop the rook coming to e2. It's interesting, but rook g7, I think it works. I think there's enough complications. I also have threats of queen h5 going after h7 and maybe even the rook. And you still don't have queen d1 check. c5 is also an interesting move because it allows queen to c5 check with knight to f2 ideas. Wait, he's just blundered mate in 2. He can take with the king, though. He can take here with the king, but then... queen g8, king f6. If I take here, then maybe there's queen d1 check, but let's take. This cannot be touched because I mate you on g8. Yes, he sees that. Wait, can I give you a check like this? King comes here. Do I have a follow-up? I suppose I can always take with the pawn, though, and give my king this square. Yeah, I think that's good. If here, queen d1, king h1, there's no queen to h5 because I control that square. If the queen takes on g3, check here, check here, I can force a queen trade. That's equal. Is that equal material? That might be. This is crazy. Okay, what else do I have? If I take the knight immediately, queen takes, then I have this. So you can't take it. So after this, if queen d1, king 2, h2, you still don't have queen 2, h5. If here there's no other checks, that looks good to me. Let's play it. hg3. This is a very tense position. Oh my god, I hung my queen. Oh my god. I know you guys were just screaming at me there for hanging my queen. Oh my. I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Was I winning? It was drawn. It was a drawn position. This was drawing. My best move was queen f7, king h6. I saw this, and I got a little bit spooked because I couldn't find a continuation. Although here there is apparently this. I can't take here because of perpetuals. But the computer thinks I can win this. I don't see how it thinks that, though. Queen e7? I'm not really sure what it's planning. Oh, man. Well, it was a very interesting game. I just completely threw it away. That's so frustrating. The opening went pretty perfectly. d5, I thought I had bishop to b5 check. And after bishop d7, I thought I might be able to play e5. The computer's not the biggest fan of it. But I thought this would make for an interesting... Oh no, maybe I'm blundering this, though. And then things get very complicated. But I could always just take here, and after queen takes, the computer prefers. I can still go e5. I can also just do this and allow a queen trade on my terms, but bishop e7, f4, we take some space, knight c6, bishop a2 now, bishop d7, knight f3, and we have a good position. Queen c7, knight e2, b5, knight g3, knight d4, not a good move, as I explained, because we just go... Well, the computer always likes taking in these situations. Personally, I don't. Just personal preference. I feel like this pawn's actually quite annoying. So I prefer to kick the knight. Castles f5, and my opponent blunders a pawn, which is fantastic. He should have gone rook a to e8. But, of course, his position looks miserable. Oh, I can't believe I threw that game, man. fe6, fe6, bishop e6, king h8, and... Queen e2, not the best move, but good. Rook a to e8. Bishop back to a2. d5, and yeah, e5 was the move. You can't do this because I'll take and I'll win your queen. So, knight d7. Yeah, I can just take and go d4, which I should have just gone for. I should have just gone for this. I literally calculated this line as well. But for some reason, I went bishop f4. Completely missing the fact black can just do this. Take, take. Rook a to e1. Rook a d1 is better. Because if take, take, the queen's under attack. If queen e5, I have rook f5. And if queen e7, I have bishop b1. Yeah, because the queen gets attacked, so I have the time to play bishop d1. In this variation, though, I don't have time for it. And I go rook takes f8, hoping my opponent blunders like this. But of course he doesn't. He takes with the queen. Rook f1. Queen e7. Here, this is the wrong move. This is better. If queen takes, bishop takes. I have rook e1, bishop c6. Rook e8, bishop e8. And I'm doing better in this endgame. Because this king just struggles to get out. You got to go g6. I just march forward. Okay, apparently not. I go bishop d5. Going for this and stopping this. I went rook f7. Queen d6. Rook takes g7, loses to c4. I saw c4. But I thought I was okay. I thought I had this. But this loses because of knight f6. Calm and collected. Better was knight f5, which I also saw. But I thought that my attack lacked venom. I've got to find knight e7 in this position. Of course, you can't take because of mate. Queen h6. Knight c6. Queen c6. Queen to g4. And my attack is just strong. The best that black can do is trade queens. And the bishop's always going to be better than the knight in this position because of how split apart the pawns are. Rook g7 blunders, and my opponent doesn't play the correct move. Queen e8. You can't take because of mate. King g7. I blundered my flipping queen. Now, my point was that you can't do this because of this. And if you give a check and I go king here, I know the queen's hanging, but, like, you don't have anything else, right? White is winning here if anything else is played, because the bishop's under attack, obviously. But let's say the queen defends the bishop. Then I just have way too big of an attack, right? Way too big of an attack. But I just hung my queen. What I should have gone for was queen f7, king h6, take, and tried to create some problems. There is queen g6 here, though, which seems to solve black's problems because he can just constantly block. And if I ever take, black is probably better because his king is more active, but I just hung a queen. That's not good. Hopefully you can see why I like this opening so much. But I hung my queen. Ruined it. Ugh. Anyway, if you want to see a more successful game where I use the A3 Sicilian, check out the video that appears up here. And if you want to see the previous episodes of the speedrun, check out the playlist down here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in one of those videos.